You've been listening to Governor Rick Scott live here on Fox 4 News, addressing Floridians. His latest update, he says his next one's coming up at 5:15. We'll bring you that one live. The bottom line here, he said 1.5 million people in Florida are going to have to evacuate ahead of this storm. We've got to remind people that this is largely an East Coast event, but they're talking about a storm surge that could be 9 feet above the ground. We're talking, this is going to be over people's heads, right? So something to consider. And the word he used was foolish. You are foolish if you've got anybody over there who is trying to ride it out. If you've got friends or relatives on the other coast, you want to pass that word along if for some reason they didn't get the message yet.
Absolutely, and we do want to take right now a quick look at STORMSHIELD Doppler radar. The governor mentioned that this storm is expected to make landfall on the east coast of Florida sometime overnight tonight. We don't know exactly what time, but you look at this radar, you can see the outer rain bands from the storm. They're already soaking areas, and we're already getting word on our social media pages from people in inland southwest Florida, you know, Hendry Glades, areas like LaBelle, saying they are seeing rain and even some wind starting to kick up already.
Just in, we want to show you this brand new video just for you. This deadly hurricane hitting parts of the Bahamas today, pounding the islands with at least 130-mile-an-hour winds and that torrential rain in the Bahamas. We're now learning the storm has killed at least 108 people. Most of the deaths have been happening in Haiti. Southern and western Haiti bearing the brunt of this storm. A lot of falling trees, flying debris, swollen rivers, and you can see all that mud just gushing across some villages.
All right, we want to send it over now to our chief meteorologist, Derek Beasley. He's standing by in the Weather Center now with the latest as he tracks Hurricane Matthew. Derek?
Well, guys, it's been undergoing some steady strengthening throughout the morning. Now the pressure down to 939 millibars as of the last recon flight, and the winds now at 140 miles per hour. So we've seen it regain Category 4 status since this morning as it's passed just north of Andros Island. As you can see, some of these rain bands beginning to rotate inland across southwest Florida. You can see those scattered showers there extending from Lake Okeechobee all the way across sections of Highlands County. Some rain moving into the Lake Placid area. We're also looking at some rain trying to push into LaBelle and also into Fort Myers. We're starting to get some downpours in downtown Fort Myers and just south of Immokalee as well. But again, this is the hurricane right here. This is Matthew approaching the Florida coast, and what you're seeing here are a few wobbles, if you will, in the track, and that's typically what happens with these systems, especially with these very strong hurricanes. You'll get these wobbles, so it'll kind of take kind of a stair-step pattern as it moves off towards the north and west. And another thing I'm noticing is it looks like it's developing what we call concentric eye walls. You have one eye wall here and what appears to be a new larger one that is trying to develop on the outer side of that. And a lot of times what will happen is when you get that concentric eye wall signature, if you will, on radar, the outer eye wall actually ends up becoming the dominant eye, and the inner eye wall eventually will collapse. So you may see a period of weakening and then re-strengthening as it moves off towards the north and west. We'll wait and see if that happens. Also, the wind field may potentially expand. But right now, the hurricane-force wind field outward about 40 to 50 miles from the center. So it's a very small area that's actually seeing those really nasty hurricane-force winds. But the tropical storm-force winds extend outward, upwards around 150 miles from the center. So we're going to be seeing a large area of Florida, even not under the core of the hurricane, that's going to be experiencing at least tropical storm force winds. These are some of the bands that are now pushing into sections of Lee County. You can see some pretty decent downpours along 49, up 41, I should say, and down I-75, and then heading back towards the south and west through the North Cape. And so it looks like we're going to be seeing some pretty decent downpours in portions of Cape Coral here, especially the South Cape here over the next several minutes. Also tracking some rain here into portions of Collier County from just south of Immokalee towards Orange Tree, and this is moving off towards the south and west as well towards Golden Gate. Some rain bands moving through DeSoto County now, and with these rain bands, we easily could see upwards of 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts. Right now, the winds have been gusting 25, 30, but easily we could start to see those wind gusts picking up a little bit, particularly for our inland counties. Glades, Hendry County is where we could see some of those stronger wind gusts here, especially over the next several hours. And you can see some more rain bands pushing out of Okeechobee County over into Highlands County towards Sebring and just to the east of Lake Placid. Again, the winds so far, mainly out of the north and east, sustained about 16 to 20 miles per hour. You can see a 20-mile-an-hour sustained wind last hour. You see it's just updated there, LaBelle, northerly at about 11 miles per hour. So it's not really that bad right now. The wind gusts have been getting up to around 31 miles an hour, and that's not a question with these bands as they push through. What they do is they actually tap into the strong winds in the upper atmosphere and pull some of that stronger wind down to the ground. And so that's like what we're going to be seeing in the gusts here for tonight, especially as it gets a little bit closer to us. Now, again, the path is going to continue on this northwest track. So right now, with it basically angling towards the coast like this, it's going to get very close to West Palm Beach. It's likely going to pass just north of West Palm Beach. And eventually, it's going to be heading up into sections of Martin and St. Lucie County, Indian River County, up into Brevard County, and getting pretty close to Cape Canaveral, where we potentially could see it make its closest proximity to the Florida coast, right up here, up towards the Space Coast. So that's something we're going to be watching very carefully. So places like St. Augustine are going to have some issues. Daytona Beach up towards Jacksonville. This is the latest track. And the advisory as of 3 o'clock, 25.8 degrees north, 78.3 degrees west, and the pressure down to 939 millibars. The track has not changed. Again, still expecting it to approach Cape Canaveral here by early tomorrow morning, and then it looks like it's going to basically skirt the coast, so affecting places like Jacksonville, up towards Brunswick and Savannah, Georgia, Charleston, and then eventually doing a loop-de-loop around as we get into early next week. Now, as far as the close proximity, again, the closest I think that this system is going to get to the Florida coast is when it gets up here into parts of Brevard County and then approaches up towards Jacksonville. So, and we do expect it to still be a Category 4 by that point. So we're talking winds 140, 145 miles per hour. So this is going to cause some serious problems as far as surge and water rises, and also extensive wind damage, particularly near the coast, right under where the core of the storm is going to track. Hurricane warning remains in effect, again, all the way up from the Georgia coast all the way southward to Broward County. And we're looking at that tropical storm watch that's still in effect for DeSoto, Charlotte, and Lee County, and down into Collier County, also Manatee and Sarasota counties. But likely the reason why they have not gone with a warning yet is that the chances for seeing sustained tropical storm force winds are lower once you get a little bit closer to the coast and farther away from the core of the storm. So by far, I think the worst weather out of this system in our area is going to be for Highlands County, for extreme northeastern portions of Glades County, and also northeastern Hendry County. So really anywhere along and near Lake Okeechobee is going to have the strongest winds, where we easily could see some wind gusts approaching hurricane force as this thing passes by. Now, this is the projected wind field. You can see the large area of yellow as it moves on through, and you can see those tropical storm force winds that are going to be spreading across the area, especially for our inland counties as we get to later on tonight. Again, the core, the strongest winds, the Category 3 winds and 4 winds are going to be right near the coast as it tracks off towards the north and west. By the time we head towards this time tomorrow afternoon, conditions are going to start to improve significantly from south to north. So areas south like Collier County, down around Naples and down towards Everglades City, you guys will see your conditions improve during the morning hours. And then by afternoon, Highlands County, DeSoto County, you guys will start to see your winds begin to slacken off during the afternoon hours. Again, the highest probability for hurricane force winds is going to be near the coast. Notice how the chances drop off significantly. There's still a chance, even in gusts, where we could see some hurricane force winds as we get up towards Lake Okeechobee. So that does include eastern Glades and northeastern Hendry County. And notice with the tropical storm winds, again, much lower probabilities the farther west you get from the Cape and Sanibel and out towards places like Inglewood. But you get farther northeast. Notice how dramatically the chances increase once you get farther towards the north and east. So the closer you get to the core of the storm, the stronger the winds, obviously, and that, again, is going to be from mainly Glades County and into Highlands and into Hendry County. So this is the latest computer model forecast. This is a high-resolution computer model basically showing where the storm's going to be headed, and you can see how the track pretty much parallels the coast as we go through the late night hours. And you can see here by 10 o'clock tonight, this thing's going to be approaching West Palm Beach. The western eye wall will get very close to the east shores of Lake Okeechobee, and that's where we could see some of those near hurricane force wind gusts into parts of Glades County and Hendry County. Now, this is going to start moving up towards Melbourne and up towards Cape Canaveral by 3 o'clock in the morning, and this thing should be out of here by tomorrow afternoon. As far as wind gusts are concerned, notice where the purples are. This is where you're going to be seeing some of the strongest winds over Lake O and also to the north and east. But back towards the south and west, it looks like we'll see wind gusts anywhere from about 20 to 30 miles per hour, maybe some gusts up to 40, particularly as you get east of I-75, particularly up around Arcadia and LaBelle, Moorhaven, and down towards Immokalee. We could see some wind gusts around 30 to 35 miles per hour. So this thing is moving on through, and again, it looks like our worst weather is really going to start to go downhill after dark tonight and then through midnight tonight, but things should improve quite quickly here by tomorrow afternoon. Guys?
All right, thank you, Derek. We'll check back in with you shortly. And as we showed you before, Florida's East Coast is already starting to feel the effects of Hurricane Matthew. We do want to send it over now to 4 in Your Corner's Lisa Greenberg. She's live in West Palm tonight with more on how shelters there are looking right now. Lisa?
Hey guys, we're at Forest Hill High School in West Palm, where this school has been turned into a shelter for people to evacuate for the hurricane. And I'm joined by a couple people who have chosen to come here to brave the storm. What's your name, sir?
My name is Douglas.
Douglas and
Bianca.
Bianca. So tell me, what time did you get here?
We got here about maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock.
8:30. Wow. So you came early to make sure that you guys got a space in here. How are you feeling about the storm?
Well, it's a sad thing that it is here, but we have to do what we must do as a people to make sure that the people are safe.
How long do you plan to stay? Are you going to stay up for the storm, or?
Just until the danger of the storm is over. And once the danger of the storm is over, we're going to continue out.
And, you know, are you planning on staying up and watching through the windows as the weather goes by, or are you going to try and sleep through it?
Well, my husband might stay up, but I'm going to get a little rest because I'm with child, so. But he liked to watch the storm.
Definitely. Alrighty. Well, thank you guys so much for taking a few minutes of your time. Please stay safe. Again, we are at Forest Hill High School in West Palm Beach, where people are packing up this high school, trying to stay safe and evacuate from the storm. And we'll check back in with you guys in just a few minutes. For now, reporting from West Palm, Lisa Greenberg, Fox 4, in your corner.
All right, thank you, Lisa. So we've been showing you the inside in West Palm Beach, inside one shelter. There is a hurricane warning in effect, and it has been creating effects that people are dealing with, thunderstorms and gusty winds outside that shelter. You see the waves, some people actually in the water. This is from earlier today. The governor saying no one should be anywhere close to the beach right now, but the weather in West Palm expected to get worse as the night progresses. 4 in Your Corner's Malcolm Johnson giving you a closer look now at how that area is preparing.
The runners, the dog walkers, and the last-minute beer drinkers were among the few enjoying their comforts outdoors before Hurricane Matthew forces them to stay indoors.
It feels, I feel it in my chest. I actually couldn't sleep last night because I was anticipating the worst.
It's hard not to fear for the worst when 120-mile-per-hour winds are in the forecast. But the cliche calm before the storm phrase couldn't be more appropriate during the early morning hours.
It's not hot, it's not cold, it's breezy, it's gorgeous. I could be like this all the time.
Unfortunately, this weather won't last. The breeze will turn to devastating wind gusts and torrential rain that requires sandbags to prepare for flooding. Throughout downtown West Palm, this is what you will see: plywood, as local restaurants begin to board up their business as they get ready for Hurricane Matthew and the wind speeds that are projected to be up to 125 miles an hour.
We're now, just continuing business for the day and hope to be open as soon as possible tomorrow.
And opening tomorrow is taking an optimistic approach when tropical storm winds are expected through Friday afternoon. Reporting in West Palm Beach, Malcolm Johnson, Fox 4, in your corner.
All right, so President Obama has just declared a federal state of emergency for more than 24 counties in Florida. So this includes Hendry and Glades counties here in southwest Florida. The Department of Homeland Security and FEMA will be coordinating relief efforts to help those affected by the storm. And the governor just said, as he spoke to the state earlier today, he's asking for extra things like fuel, more water, more tarps, more generators from the federal government, because as this storm does hit, the governor said he expects power to be out for a long time, and there could be devastating effects from this storm, so we will monitor that situation as well. As far as Lee County goes, Emergency Operations Center partially activating itself for the next 24 hours, so this is to open shelters for people who are leaving Florida's East Coast. We even talked to a lot of hotels along I-75 in Lee and Collier County. They were filling up already 2 days ago. A lot of filled rooms, filled hotels, so people are searching for places to stay. The governor also said if you have people on the west coast of Florida and you can get out of the East Coast, or you have family over there, urge them to come over this way. Lee County is not in the direct path of Matthew, but of course it still could experience some strong winds, some rain, as Derek has been saying, associated with the storm.
Happening tonight, local authorities in Delray Beach, this is just south of West Palm Beach, north of Lauderdale, are now preventing people from even going to the beach, not just getting in the water, just going to the beach, just as a precaution for public safety. 4 in your corners, John Genovese has more.
Delray Beach, south of Palm Beach this afternoon, and like many spots in the area, police have blocked off this spot right about a mile from the water. They are only at this point letting local traffic through. We've seen a lot of folks trying to walk towards the beach, drive towards the beach, that are getting turned around. They say this is for everybody's safety. They just don't know where this storm is going to move to, and they say there's a high potential for flooding, especially the closer, of course, to the water that you get. They've been out here since about 8 o'clock last night. This spot where we are, kind of in the business district of Delray Beach, we saw an art gallery putting up shutters just a few moments ago. There was actually a fire station past this barricade. As they were driving by, the firefighters telling us they're evacuating themselves later on this afternoon. So at this point, police and first responders recommending anyone in these evacuation areas to pack up and get out. In Delray Beach, John Genovese, back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Don. Now we want to give you a live look at the situation in Jacksonville, and you can see that the surf looking a little bit rougher than you might normally expect, certainly for this time of year. Nothing dramatic at this point, but as you could see as we began our coverage here, the governor actually appeared in this area of Jacksonville, St. Augustine, to make a public statement. He's been holding press conferences in different parts of the state, in part to draw the public's attention to these different areas and letting people know, listen, if the gov's in town and a hurricane's on the way, you want to take it seriously. Again, the governor is saying about 1.5 million Floridians are all in evacuation zones. He's been pushing people throughout the day and since last night to go ahead and evacuate as early as possible, including the area you're looking at right now, Jacksonville, the St. Augustine area. You can see those dark clouds on the horizon and again some rough surf. And fortunately, as we give you this live look here on Fox 4 News, you don't see anybody on the beach. In fact, no one's even near that pool in the foreground there on the left-hand part of your screen. A lot of the people who are in condos like this locking up all along the east coast of Florida, and they'll continue to do so. The governor is saying to stay along the coast at this point would be, quote, foolish, and that's why we're relying very heavily on fixed cameras at this point to make sure nobody's in danger as we cover this storm for you here on Fox 4 News as we continue our coverage.
Well, government officials are urging people in the path of Hurricane Matthew to take this storm seriously, warning of devastating effects for Florida if the state takes a direct hit. But a lot of experts are saying even if it doesn't take a hit, we're going to feel some pretty strong effects. Now, Hurricane Matthew could make landfall somewhere along Florida's east coast, and Holly Furfer is in Daytona Beach tonight with the latest on what's going on there.
Evacuate, evacuate, evacuate. Be prepared. Don't take a chance.
More than 2 million people from Florida to the Carolinas have been urged to evacuate ahead of the arrival of Hurricane Matthew, the most since Hurricane Sandy in 2012. Officials this morning warning residents along the East Coast, Matthew is going to be a deadly storm.
Time is running out. This is clearly going to either have a direct hit or come right along our coast, and we're going to have hurricane force winds. There are no excuses. You need to leave.
Expected to be a Category 4 storm when it makes landfall.
It's going to be going up the coast and could remain a major hurricane at the coast or very close to it the whole way up. That's awful.
Hurricane Matthew is expected to bring up more than 100-mile-per-hour winds, a 5 to 9 foot storm surge, inland flooding, and power outages.
If you're on the East Coast, you will lose power. You are going to lose power. Do not believe you're not going to lose power. You are going to lose power. Millions will lose power, possibly for a long period of time.
Matthew hit the island nation of Haiti as a Category 4 hurricane on Tuesday, leaving at least 23 people dead and more than 1,500 homes flooded. And is currently impacting the Bahamas, where residents are already feeling the effects of more than 100-mile-per-hour winds. In Daytona Beach, I'm Holly Furfer.
All right, so right now we want to take you back to Deborah Souverain. She is out in Clewiston right now. Obviously, that is in the eastern section of of Southwest Florida. So she's out there kind of seeing what people are doing and how they're preparing. Yesterday, we checked in with them, filling sandbags, and let's check in with her now. Deborah.
Amy, we've been here for about 2 hours now at in Hendry County at Clewiston Middle School, and I've been speaking to people who are just checking in, a lot of them saying they just came here just to be extra precautious. Right now it's still very calm. We've only seen just a little bit of wind, nothing too extreme. On the drive over here, we started to see the weather change as we crossed into Hendry County. We saw some of the rain, the sky was a little bit dark, but right now it's pretty calm here at the shelter. People are just kind of flowing in slowly, and it's still very early, so we're definitely expecting to see a lot more people here at this location. And the Red Cross officials here are also expecting to see a lot more people, and they're keeping their options open to possibly open up a separate high school in case this place overflows. They tell me they can hold up to 200 people, and we're not allowed to go inside just yet, but I spoke to a woman who was just inside. She tells me there are about 40 people inside right now, and right now they're just slowly allowing people to sign in, seek shelter here. One family I spoke to drove all the way from Vero Beach to come to this shelter here. They left their home around 10 o'clock and got here around 1. And many people just saying they're just taking extra precaution, especially after hearing from Governor Rick Scott telling people not to take this storm lightly at all. Even if you think you may be safe, seek shelter, and that's what a lot of people are doing here now. Not a lot of activity going on behind us, but you can't really see the parking lot, but it's starting to fill up. When we got here, there were probably about maybe 10 cars, and I can see close to maybe 3 dozen cars right now. So the shelter is definitely starting to see a lot more people as they anticipate the effects, the impact from Hurricane Matthew. Now, we're not going to see anything just yet until later on this evening. So that's why we're seeing the activity here just a little bit slow. And even the people I spoke to, they tell me they just came here to sign up and they're going back home to grab a few more items before they return here later on tonight. And so we're going to be here all day bringing you as much as we can as long as conditions allow us to do so. So for right now, I'm going to send it back to you, Amy. We're at Clewiston Middle School. Deborah Souverain, Fox 4, in your corner.
All right, thank you, Deborah. And the message here is if you're in Hendry County, there is room for you. You've got time, but as we've been showing you here on our live coverage, the governor's saying you don't have much time when it comes to you dealing with the more severe parts of this storm. And again, these folks in the eastern part of our viewing area, we're talking about Glades and Hendry County, as well as Highlands County, according to Derek Beasley, our chief meteorologist, are going to be probably seeing the most impact when it comes to southwest Florida. Hey, but you don't need to take my word for it. Let's go right to our chief meteorologist, Derek Beasley, who's standing by now with the very latest. Derek?
Well, again, Patrick, we're still watching Matthew, which is getting a little bit closer to Florida. It's still making its way through the northern Bahamas, and it's still maintaining that intensity of 140-mile-an-hour sustained winds. Here's what's going on right now. Notice the rain bands are starting to become a little bit more numerous as they rotate westward across the state. Now, I do want to make this clear, considering on the side of the storm that we're on, typically with tropical storms and hurricanes, it's the east side, east of the eye, where we have the threat for tornadoes. I am not anticipating that being a problem for us. So as you go into the nighttime hours, that can be kind of a scary thought that we may be dealing with tornadic storms as well as dealing with strong winds from a tropical storm or a hurricane, but we're not expecting that right now. These are just going to be mainly rain producers and producing a little bit of wind as well, but that's about it. You can see there's Freeport right there in the Bahamas, and it looks like it is making some wobbles. The general movement is off towards the north and west fairly steadily at about 14 miles per hour, but we've been seeing these stair-step movements like this. So I do think this is going to bypass Fort Lauderdale, and it should bypass West Palm Beach, and likely what we're going to be seeing is a track just a little bit farther towards the north, getting up into sections of the Space Coast and eventually the First Coast here for later on tonight and tomorrow. Now, here's a look at the rain bands that are now moving through the Cape and Fort Myers, Iona, back towards the Sanibel Causeway and over towards Pine Island, seeing some pretty decent downpours there. So if you have to get out and about and drive around in this, of course, be careful, and it's really going to be kind of a typical day. Like we get those showers and storms each afternoon here in Florida. The rain's not quite that heavy, but just keep that in mind. It's going to be a little difficult to get around from time to time when these bands come on through. And we could easily see some of these bands produce wind gusts 20 to 30 miles per hour as they push on through. You can see them just kind of skirting there through portions of Sarasota County. We're also looking at some rain into portions of Highlands County here, so right along 27 from Sebring down towards Lake Placid, and there could easily be some wind gusts there exceeding 30 miles per hour. Again, sustained north to northeast winds at about 15 to 25. We've had some gusts there. Look at this wind gust at Fort Myers. 47 miles an hour. So that's what we're talking about. The strongest wind gusts are likely going to be coming, especially in the next few hours, will come with those bands as, again, those showers and storms kind of pull those stronger winds down from the upper atmosphere down towards the ground. So easily we could see some wind gusts up to tropical storm force here, especially, and that will only increase as the storm gets closer. There it is right there. Again, it's going to make that beeline up towards Cape Canaveral here by later on tonight. So basically the way Florida's coast is shaped, that's why it's going to be making that landfall so far towards the north based on its movement. If it were moving at more of an angle like this, we would likely see it going into West Palm. But right now, with the current movement on it, it's going to spread the strongest winds across our eastern counties. Again, that's going to be mainly for Glades County and Hendry County, and up in the Highlands County, and also DeSoto County. Those are the counties I think will have the worst weather as far as the winds are concerned here for later on tonight. Now, as far as the track is concerned, this hasn't changed. Again, maximum sustained winds still at 140 miles an hour. Again, the track right there, just offshore of Cape Canaveral, heading up towards Jacksonville here by the time we head towards tomorrow evening. We'll be right back.
From the state of California, guacamole and chips. From Wisconsin, a cheese plate. And from Louisville, Kentucky, pan pizza.
Yeah, this is normal.
Better game days call for better pizza.
Introducing our new pan pizza, loaded with cheese melted all the way to the edges to create a thick golden brown crust. Your choice of 3 toppings for $10.
Better ingredients.
Better pizza.
Papa John's.
Hi! You need a better car.
It's my credit.
Don't worry, because when you need to make a move, Drive Time approves.
Were you guys always this cool?
Hey. Oh, hi. Yeah, totally.
Save yourself. Get approved at Drive Time first. Call, click, or visit.
American Signature Furniture presents How to Know When It's Time. First, look for a sign that it's time to buy new furniture. Any sign? At all. Then, follow the signs to the Columbus Day sale at American Signature Furniture. Hurry in for free delivery or 12 months no interest financing when you spend $9.99 and up. Perfect. And that's how to buy the perfect piece at American Signature Furniture.
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers. She's a slob. She ate like a pig.
A person who's flat-chested is very hard to be a 10. Does she have a good body? No. Does she have a fat? Absolutely.
So you treat women with respect?
I can't say that either.
All right, good.
Four in your corner, continuing to cover Hurricane Matthew as it continues to gain steam, and it's a Category 4 hurricane approaching Florida's east coast as it is going over the Bahamas right now. We want to tell you we are going to be live on Facebook in just a few minutes here. We want you to post your questions about this storm as you are preparing. It is expected to have 140-mile-an-hour winds and be hitting the east coast potentially sometime overnight tonight into the early morning hours. So again, post your questions as we get live on Facebook or even just on our Fox 4 Facebook page, and Derek will be answering your specific questions live on the air as well as live on our Facebook feed, so make sure to join us for that.
All right. We've been having a lot of questions from people who specifically want to know when it comes to the eastern areas of our viewing area, what they can expect. So we've been getting a lot of questions about Lehigh Acres and what they can expect there and how soon.
Well, as far as Lehigh Acres, we've already started to see some of those wind gusts getting upwards of tropical storm force. We had wind gusts about 40 miles an hour, as you saw just from the map that I showed just a few minutes ago. So the strongest winds in Lee County, particularly, are going to be coming with these rain bands as they push on through, and that would include Lehigh Acres. That would include Fort Myers and Cape Coral, North Fort Myers. As these bands come through, that's when you're going to see that potential for gusts getting up to tropical storm force. I do not anticipate sustained tropical storm force winds. They're likely going to be coming into gusts, and one of the reasons for that is that we're kind of far removed from the center of the circulation. You can see the eye of the storm now approaching the North Bahamas, and it's going to be tracking pretty close to the coast here later on tonight. So the potential for stronger sustained winds will increase as the center gets a little bit closer to us. But by far, again, the strongest winds, the strongest sustained winds are going to be coming near the core, at least closest to the core, which is going to be over into Highlands County, into Glaze and Hendry County. It's really right around Lake Okeechobee that I think we're going to see some of the strongest winds out of this as it pushes on through.
All right, we want to thank Daniqua Gonzalez on our Facebook page right now reporting light rain in Lehigh, and Beth Rodriguez saying light rain in Fort Myers. Savannah saying good luck, everybody. We love you. So we appreciate you offering the support to one another on our Facebook page. But I want to ask you one question right here on our Facebook page from Jen Johnson, who says, how is this going to affect Lake Okeechobee specifically?
Especially when you're going to start getting some water rises, particularly in the south, because what's going to happen is as the storm approaches, you're going to get winds coming out of the north and east. So it looks like on the southwest shore, you're going to start to get water rises, and then as the winds come out of the north, you're going to get water piling up on the south. And then as the system starts pulling away, you're going to get more of a westerly wind, especially as we get into late tonight into early tomorrow morning. And so the eastern shore of Lake Okeechobee is going to start to get some water rises as well. So it really depends on the direction of the wind. And right now, we're going to be looking at mostly a northerly wind here over the next several hours as the storm approaches the coast.
And so in Southwest Florida, a lot of people asking when. They want to know when. When are we going to feel the effects? I know obviously some places are feeling minor effects now, light wind, a little bit of rain.
Well, the worst of it actually is going to be late tonight when the core of the storm starts getting closest to the coast, and that's going to be somewhere, right around midnight, maybe a little bit more than that. Right, it looks like it's moving along at pretty good clips. So it may actually start to get close to the coast, at least West Palm Beach and up to areas like that, Martin, St. Lucie County, getting up in those areas at right around midnight, maybe a little bit before that, and then continuing through about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So there's going to be a period, I'd say, between about 10 o'clock tonight and about 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning where it's going to be, it's going to get a little rough out there. And then conditions should improve significantly as the storm gets lifting northward.
And you might be watching going, hold on a second, the weather's not that bad outside my house right now. Why do you guys bring us such comprehensive coverage? We're finding out Florida is a very small state when it comes to crisis like this. Plenty of us have family on the other coast who are now pushing this way, people looking for areas in our local hotels and B&Bs, as the governor mentioned earlier in our coverage. So we want to make sure that no matter whether you have folks on the other coast, it's going to be affecting us one way or the other here. And we want to make sure you have the information now before we get into the more severe weather and people are making snap decisions. We want you to be informed and keep it calm.
Yes, and speaking of the East Coast, maybe you do have family and friends over there. We have one of our reporters, Lisa Greenberg. She is in West Palm, and she's got the latest for you live from there. Lisa?
Hey guys, we are near downtown West Palm Beach. We're right by this lake here, Clear Lake. You can see on the top of it there's some chop going on. We've experienced some strong gusts of wind and a lot of rain, but we know that's nothing compared to what we're going to experience later. We're actually in one of the areas that has not been evacuated yet, but several areas just north of here and along the coast are under mandatory evacuation. People are flooding to the local shelters to stay safe and really brace for this storm. It's going to be a few hours before we really see this strong hurricane effects here, but we are seeing some. If you take a look over here, these trees are starting to blow in the wind just a few minutes ago, just to show you how much it's been changing. Those trees were blowing extremely fast in the wind. It was just, they looked like some of them were going to be losing their palm fronds. That was just a few minutes ago, and rain was just coming down here. And another sign that you can tell that something big is coming is this usually busy intersection is completely empty. There's hardly anyone on the road. You do see someone off in the distance there. Michael, if you pan the camera just this way, there is someone out walking their dogs, a couple, but this is the most action we've seen on this block since being here for the last hour or so. It's been very empty, hardly any cars. Driving around earlier, all the stores were closed. There was no supplies. We tried to get a drink at a fast food restaurant. It was closed. All the CVS's were closed. The restaurants were closed. We actually were getting food from our hotel lobby. There were people there glued to their TVs. It was interesting. You could see like a stark contrast between the people. Some were, enjoying a beverage outside and watching the weather, and others were glued to their TV, watching the local news, trying to keep their eye on the skies. So that's kind of what's been going on here in West Palm. We'll check back in with you guys in a bit. And for now, we're live in West Palm Beach. Lisa Greenberg, Fox 4, in your corner.
All right, thank you so much, Lisa. And I do want to point out we are live on Facebook right now, as well as live on the air. So if you want to join our live feed, please go to our Fox 4 Facebook page and do that. Now, as Derek mentioned, multiple counties in Southwest Florida are under tropical storm warning. So this includes a lot of the inland counties, Hendry County, where shelters are now in place for anyone who wants a safe haven from the storm. A lot of hotels there are booked. Again, Patrick said hotels in Lee County pretty much filled up as well. We want to send it over to 4 in Your Corner's Deborah Souverain now. She is in Clewiston with more on this part of the story. Deborah?
I'm Patrick. I'm here at Clewiston Middle School. It's one of 2 shelters that have been opened up here in Hendry County, and I've been talking to people in the area, and they tell me they've been having trouble finding hotel rooms, and that's why they've decided to come to the shelter. Now, that's not the case for everyone, but that is the case for this family right here, Jerome and her mom, Yanya. Now, Jerome is going to translate for us because her mom doesn't speak English that well. But Jerome, I asked your mom earlier about why she decided to come here because she was having trouble finding a hotel.
She was finding all the hotels, but they couldn't. They saying that all of them are full, and any of the hotels were open right now.
Wow, so all of the hotels were booked. And can you ask your mom when you guys decided that you needed to leave your house? You want to ask her?
¿Cuándo ustedes decidieron para venirse para buscar?
Desde hoy en la mañana.
Well, she was finding it on today, but in the morning.
I see, in the morning. Well, thank you guys. And a lot of people are just like Jerome and her mother, Yanya. They decided this morning to come to this shelter after seeing the last advisory from Governor Rick Scott, where he pretty much said now is the time to act, be proactive, and if you are in an area where you may be in danger, to get out and seek shelter. And we're going to be here all day covering the storm, bringing you as much information as we can, so stay with us. For now, back to you guys.
All right, good information. Thank you so much, Deborah. We know a lot of kids are doing translations for their parents throughout Southwest Florida. English not always the first language, and people want to get that information as quickly as possible. Giving you a live look at the scene in the Bahamas right now, and you can see those heavy rains. You can barely see those blowing palm trees there, and it has been quite a time for the Bahamas. People in these islands knew that they needed to get ready after Haiti dealt with at least 108 deaths, and they are expecting that death toll to go higher. The hurricane really doing a number on Haiti, which is heavily deforested. Mudslides are a big problem. Not always the same case on the country that shares that island, the Dominican Republic on the other side of Hispaniola, but Haiti definitely dealing with some deadly mudslides there, and you're seeing what the Bahamas are still dealing with. They started feeling the effects of Hurricane Matthew last night, and as you can see, the rain so heavy right now, the visibility very difficult. This has affected a number of tourists in the area, and of course a lot of U.S. airlines have had to make changes with people who might normally be going to the islands, who might normally be going to Florida for vacation as we get on the early part of season. At least 1,500 U.S. flights alone have been canceled at last check because of Hurricane Matthew. Excuse me. That was a Freudian slip. That's the last time we had a real biggie in 1992 when Hurricane Andrew struck South Florida. In the meantime, we want to give you a look at what's going on in the Port St. Lucie area. Now, St. Lucie County is just north of West Palm Beach. It's an area that's considered to be a strike zone when it comes to the hurricane. People there definitely know that coming just north of them could be trouble. And as the hurricane looms, thousands of people in this area are on the move. They're leaving nothing to chance, doing everything they absolutely can to protect their property and to protect anyone who's in that area. The challenges have been great. A lot of emergency operation officials have been getting out the word they've got to get away from the coast. Tanya Roberts has the latest.
If you're here for sandbags, the line starts down that way. Starting since 7 o'clock this morning, residents have been coming here to the Port St. Lucie Public Works Department. Here they're giving away up to 20 bags of sand. This is anticipation of Hurricane Matthew. Now what's happening is there's a very long line of people wanting to come here to get up to 20 bags. Some of them are saying they want the 20 bags, and you have to show proof that you do live in the city of Port St. Lucie. Now right nearby, right on the same property, you can see the workers are actually taking the sand and putting it in the bags, getting it ready for the residents to take. This is to help to protect their homes or their businesses. Again, this is on Thornhill Drive at the Public Works Department, which is located in Port St. Lucie. They are giving out up to 20 sandbags to people who need it.
All right, we're continuing to track Hurricane Matthew as it approaches the Florida coast. Expected to get close to the coast here later on tonight, particularly after midnight, and then eventually move up towards areas around Jacksonville and then the Georgia coast. So this is going to be a historic, unprecedented event for a lot of the east coast of Florida, particularly in areas north of Daytona that have not seen anything like this, likely haven't seen anything like this in over 100 years. Now let's go to the satellite and show you what's going on right now. And as you can see the eye really trying to get formed here. You can clearly see it showing up as it approaches the Bahamas here, and at least the northern Bahamas. And then he's going to be basically making this track like this, kind of going in a northwesterly direction, almost paralleling the coast, and then getting up towards Cape Canaveral here by tomorrow morning. Hurricane hunters are back out there. They have a new plane right now, and the pressure has dropped even more. The pressure now down to 936 millibars. And whenever the pressure drops in a tropical storm or a hurricane, that means that it is strengthening. So we're likely going to see the winds respond to this over the next couple of hours or so. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But the pressure is dropping, so at least the pressure is lowering. That means the winds likely will respond at some point. But you get the idea. The storm is intensifying, and it's still going over some very warm water because the Gulf Stream, it has yet to go over that over the next several hours. This is the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center. Again, maximum sustained winds still at 140. I do expect that to change, especially if that pressure drop does translate to those stronger winds here later. And again, moving to the northwest at about 14. Again, that pressure at 939, that was as of the last advisory. The new one should come out at about 4 o'clock, and that's where we likely will see that adjusted, showing that lower pressure. And again, here's the forecast track, and as you can see, it's basically going to not necessarily parallel the coast, but it's going to get pretty close to it. It's going to come into it at more of a kind of a shallow angle, so it's going to get close to Cape Canaveral here by the time we head towards tomorrow morning as a Category 4 hurricane. And talk about a huge storm surge. A historic, significant storm surge is likely for much of the first coast and then heading up into the Georgia coast to something, again, that they have not seen in modern times. And as this, again, parallels the coast and starts turning away, that's when things are going to start improving around here. Now, I do think that things are going to start to go downhill. At least they've already started to do that. But certainly for our eastern counties, Glades, Hendry County, likely going to be seeing the worst of it here for later on tonight. As the core of the storm, you guys will be closest to the center of the storm, and that's where the worst winds are going to be here for tonight. What do I mean by worst winds? Well, for Glades County and Hendry County, it looks like you guys could see wind gusts upwards of hurricane force. We're talking up around 70 miles per hour. It's not out of the question that you could see those sustained winds 50 to 60 miles per hour with those gusts getting up to hurricane force. Now, farther south and west, including Fort Myers, including Cape Coral, including Bonita Springs, places like that, down towards Naples, there is a tropical storm watch, and that is for the possibility of seeing some tropical storm force winds. I do not anticipate us seeing sustained 40-mile-an-hour winds or higher here in this part of southwest Florida. The stronger winds are likely to be closer to Lake Okeechobee, closer to the track of the storm. So definitely about 20 to 30 miles an hour. If we do see any tropical storm force winds, it will be in those bands. And we've actually already seen some of those rain bands moving across the area, and those actually do bring some of those stronger winds down to the ground. And that's where you're going to see those wind gusts potentially approaching 40 to 50 miles per hour. The tropical storm warning does remain in effect for Polk County, for Hardy County, Highlands, Glades, Hendry, and Collier, for mainly inland Collier, and then that's just to account for some of those bands that are going to be pushing through where we could see some of those stronger winds there as we go into the evening and overnight hours. Now here's the tropical storm force wind field in yellow as it pushes across portions of the peninsula here. The strongest winds where you see the darker red colors here, this is where we're going to see the Category 3, Category 4 winds, and the center of the storm is actually going to track near the coast and just offshore, and it's basically going to ride right up the I-95 corridor, and it's under that core where we could see those winds approaching and exceeding 100 to 115 miles an hour as it moves on through. Again, we do expect improving conditions. Notice the timeline here. By tomorrow afternoon, the wind should gradually slacken off from south to north as it moves away. And then it looks like by the time we head towards the weekend, things are looking much better for us. Again, the highest chance for hurricane force winds closest to the coast. There's still a chance for northeastern Glades County. And this is, if we're going to see any hurricane force winds in southwest Florida, it's going to be mainly in this corridor area right here. We're right around Buckhead Ridge and down towards Lakeport, the west end of Lake Okeechobee. The tropical storm force winds, though, are a higher probability where we easily, again, could see sustained winds 40, 50 miles an hour with some gusts getting up close to 70 for some of the areas that I just mentioned. This is the latest run for the high-resolution computer model that we have, and as you can see, the storm is going to be making its way towards the coast. The western edge of the eye wall is going to be brushing West Palm, so it's going to track north of West Palm and then continue to move off towards the north and west, affecting Fort Pierce up towards Melbourne and then Cape Canaveral. Orlando is even going to see potentially some hurricane-force winds out of this as it moves on through. And again, it looks like, again, the strongest winds in our area are going to be closer to the core of the storm over into eastern Hendry and Glades County. You can see some of the wind gusts here, and particularly in the purple. That's where some of the strongest winds will be, including Lake Okeechobee and areas just off towards the north and east. So really, to sum things up, yes, it's going to get a little rough here for tonight across parts of the area. I do not anticipate anything significant as far as hurricane-force winds for most of southwest Florida. The only chance of that happening would be for extreme eastern portions of Glades County and perhaps northeastern Hendry County. Everybody else, though, we'll see occasionally some gusts up to tropical storm force with some of those bands pushing on through. But generally, the lighter winds are going to be closer to the Gulf. The stronger winds, the farther east you get, closer towards the core of the storm, which will be moving up towards the east coast of Florida. Guys?
All right, thank you, Derek. And we have our reporter Lisa Greenberg over on the East Coast. Obviously, as Matthew approaches the east coast of Florida, one of the biggest concerns, the governor was talking about it earlier today, is the storm surge. It can be as high as 9 feet. And when you talk about storm surge, a lot of people think, oh, 9 feet, that means it's going to be 9 feet, let's say, further up the beach than it usually is. No, it's 9 feet tall, so above most adults' heads, obviously. So let's go check in with Lisa. A lot of people moving into shelters on the East Coast. She's in West Palm with more on that.
Hey guys, Lisa Greenberg here. I'm outside of Forest Hill High School in West Palm Beach, where people are evacuating from the storm. Just on the other side of these doors, it's packed with people who are trying to get a safe space to ride out Hurricane Matthew. And I'm joined by one of those people who chose to evacuate. Tell me, ma'am, what is your name?
Karen Gainsberg.
Karen, what brought you to Forest Hill High School today? I know it seems like a silly question.
Well, they claimed that I lived in Zone C, which is right across from Palm Beach Island. So I live in an older building, and I just thought it would be safer for me to evacuate.
So you weren't told you had to evacuate, you chose to evacuate?
Exactly.
Okay, and how are you feeling now heading into the hours just ahead of the storm?
Well, I feel very safe and secure here, and the Red Cross has been wonderful. And they're serving like 3 meals a day. It's very, very helpful. And the people are great. Everybody's banding together. Everybody's very friendly and very calm and copacetic.
Is it easing your concerns to be here and be able to be surrounded by other people who are going through the same thing as you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a nice camaraderie. Really nice.
Are you concerned that you're going to return to your home and maybe it not be in the same condition as you left it?
Well, the structure where I live is a pretty sturdy structure. It's about 76 years old. So that was my concern. And I have hurricane windows. I just felt that where I was located, which is so close in proximity to Zone B, which is Palm Beach.
And have you ever been through anything like this before?
No, I'm originally from Philadelphia, and I've never been involved in a hurricane.
So this is your first one. I would think that would have you a little bit on edge.
It does, but with the situation, I'm very calm, and I'm glad I'm here. I'm a little nervous, but...
Well, I'm glad you're here. Please stay safe. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes of your time to talk to us. We really appreciate it. Again, this shelter is packing up with people ahead of the storm, trying to make sure that they're safe, where they can, get some warm meals and stay warm throughout the rest of the evening. We'll check back with you guys in a few minutes, so stick with us. For now, reporting live in West Palm Beach, Lisa Greenberg, Fox 4. In your corner.
All right, thank you, Lisa. You can see those shelters filling up. People definitely not taking any chances, and you can see what the situation is in Hendry County. People for the past couple of days have been filling up these sandbags, doing everything they can to make sure their properties have been protected. Now, when we interviewed folks in this area yesterday, that's the video we're showing you, people sounded fairly calm. Everyone was working together. It was not a rough situation. Sometimes you see some elbows thrown in anticipation of a storm when it gets urgent, but for the most part, as we've pushed into today, people have been helping each other out in Hendry County, and they have made those sandbags available throughout the afternoon today, and you can see they've been a big hit with people who don't want to take any chances and try to keep that water from coming into their homes, especially because in Hendry County, they're living so much closer to Lake Okeechobee. 4 in your corners, Deborah Souverain in Clewiston right now with more on the situation there tonight. Deborah?
Amy and Patrick, I'm still here at Clewiston Middle School, and I've been talking to people as they're going in to check into the shelter here. Now, this is one of 2 shelters in Hendry County. The other one is at LaBelle Middle School, and I just ran into Joanna, and Joanna tells me this is her first hurricane that she's ever experienced. And Joanna, that's why you decided to come here?
Yes.
Tell me, what was it? What did you hear that made you realize it was time to maybe leave home?
I heard that was gonna be Category 4, and I heard that's a really dangerous storm, and like, I just wanted to like be safe. So.
And who are you here with?
My mom, my aunt, and my cousin.
All right. Are you bringing anything with you? Air mattress, food? Do you have all those supplies?
Yeah, I do.
And tell me, how is Hendry County when it rains? Do you guys see a lot of flooding?
No, all we see really is just like bad wind or like water and lots of lightning.
What's your main concern for leaving home? Did you think that your home may not be safe enough when the winds pick up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that because we have like a big tree in the back of our house, and I'm really scared it's gonna like fall on our house, and like we come home and see nothing. So.
Yeah. Well, it's good you're taking those extra precautions, and that's what people want residents here to do. Thank you so much, Joanna. They want you to take precaution, seek shelter, even if you think your home may be safe. Try to find somewhere that's very, very secure, that can withstand those strong winds that are expected to hit this area. And so for now, we're going to stay here and keep talking to people. We haven't been able to go inside of the shelter just yet, but once we do, we'll try to give you a look inside to show you just what the shelter looks like. We're told that it can house up to 200 people, and if this shelter is filled up, they have another area, another school that they will be sending people to. But for now, we're going to send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Deborah, for that. We do want to show you, we have a kind of fun, interesting new tool here at Fox 4. It's called the Breaking News Tracker, and we want to go live to that now. So this is a car, if you will, a live car. We're going to show you live pictures from the road. Windshield wipers go in there. This is 4 in Your Corner's Adam Pinsker. He's one of our reporters and photographers here at Fox 4. He is driving our Breaking News Tracker. He's on Highway 31 heading towards LaBelle, going, you know, into the inland areas of Southwest Florida. And there's a look at Adam right now. I like the smile on his face. You look good in blue. So Adam is going to be traveling all throughout Southwest Florida in our Breaking News Tracker. And so Adam's going to give us a little update. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Amy, we're on Highway 80 now, Palm Beach Boulevard, heading toward LaBelle. There was a shelter open in LaBelle at LaBelle Middle School, 8000 Cowboy Way. Now, as we were going out here from Cape Coral, from our studios in Cape Coral, it started to rain. We got some of these outer bands from the storm we think coming on in. But right now, the rain's tapered off a little bit. I'm showing you the front of our vehicle. I'm looking east, and I can see blue skies and clouds. As we were closer to Cape Coral just a little while ago, it was really coming down. I know a lot of people commute this way to and from Fort Myers and other areas of Southwest Florida. So if you are coming this way, it is raining, so use the usual caution you would take when you're going to and from work when you get those afternoon storms. Again, if you have family coming in this way, if they're going to utilize the shelter at LaBelle Middle School, it is open. It is at 8000 Cowboy Way, and that's where we're heading right now. We'll bring you an update when we get closer. We're probably about 15 miles outside LaBelle right now, and we'll bring you the latest once we get there. For now, we're live in East Lee County. Adam Pinsker, Fox 4 in your corner.
All right, thank you, Adam. We are showing it to you every way we can on the roads in West Palm Beach tonight, and of course here in Southwest Florida. If you're watching us on Facebook, we really appreciate you right now. I want to say hi to those viewers because we got the camera off to the side here, and we're hearing from folks like Sandy Jones Baker, who says we're here and we're listening, and we want you to know that we're listening as well. We want to know what your experience is with Hurricane Matthew here, and what your friends and family on the other coast are dealing with right now as we continue to bring you this continuing coverage. We want to let you know that tolls have been now suspended. So if there are folks who need to come to your part of the state because they want to get out of the way of this, there are no tolls on the Turnpike suspended. Alligator Alley, no tolls right now. We're looking at about 3,000 people who are already in shelters, as we've been showing you in Palm Beach County, and shelters are opening as needed. We also want to check in with Jillian Idle. She has been showing you what the situation is on Palm Beach Boulevard right now when it comes to people filling up their gas tanks. Jillian?
Well, that's right, Patrick. Now, we were just off of Palm Beach Boulevard, but I'm going to step out of the way. Right now, we're here at a racetrack gas station off of I-75, more close to the Florida Gulf Coast University campus, and we're going to check in there a little bit. There's a shelter nearby there, so people evacuating from the East Coast are using these gas stations right now. There's no fuel. As far as no fuel, there's still fuel here, actually, at this racetrack, but we were at Palm Beach Boulevard. There's a Sunoco there. They were saying they're running low on on fuel, but when we stopped by there just a little bit ago, there weren't too many cars there. But the significance between those gas stations off of Palm Beach Boulevard is that people evacuating from the East Coast, if they're not taking the Turnpike or I-95 to Alligator Alley, they will be evacuating from State Road 80 off of Southern Boulevard in West Palm Beach, and that State Road 80 does turn into Palm Beach Boulevard. So those gas stations say they have seen a pickup in the traffic coming to get their gas. Of course, people here on this coast are also trying to stock up on gas as well. But like I said, they say it's pretty just steady here, typical traffic at this racetrack, but we are keeping an eye on that, and we will bring you any more as we learn about that fuel and also if there are shortages in the area. But for now, I'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you so much, Jillian. A little wet out there, as you can see, and people filling up while they can. Of course, some people might be filling up some tanks in case they have friends and relatives coming over from the East Coast. I want to give you another live look at the Bahamas right now, and there's definitely a switch up from the last time we gave you this live look at what's happening in the Bahamas. They've been affected by Hurricane Matthew since last night. When we showed you this earlier, I'd say within the past 20 minutes or so as part of our live coverage here on Fox 4 News, it looked like the wind was a little bit stronger. I'm just judging it from those palm trees, not because I'm a meteorologist by any means. And it was hard to see this really light-colored bay. You see that light blue water in the foreground there earlier because the rain was so strong that the visibility was very poor. So it certainly at least let up in this area of the Bahamas as we give you a live look. And of course, they can't see it soon enough move on beyond their area. After 108 people reported dead in Haiti ahead of this, they're hoping for no deaths and injuries in the Bahamas. So once again, we're giving you a live look at how Hurricane Matthew is affecting that part of the Caribbean, and we'll keep you posted on how people in the Caribbean are doing throughout our coverage.
All right, we do want to give you one more look at the radar right now. This is our Doppler radar, and you can see Matthew as it is swirling 140-mile-an-hour winds as it is approaching the east coast of Florida. The governor urging people, if you have family and friends on the East Coast, to get out. We are going to continue to follow this storm. We're going to take a quick break right now, but you're watching us live here on Fox 4 News as well as on Facebook Live. We'll be right back.